How are we doing today, folks? Welcome back to the College Conservative for my 11th episode now. I hope you all had a good 4th of July. I hope you stayed safe. You didn't have too much to drink if you're over 21, of course. Hope you all didn't blow off your fingers with any fireworks. And I hope you all had fun and just celebrated our freedom and really the blessings that we have to live in this country and how lucky we truly are and blessed we truly are to live in the freest nation on earth, and I would say the last bastion of freedom anywhere in the world, the last country that truly really appreciates liberty and freedom and individualism in the sense of thought. So I hope you all appreciate it, and I hope you all. I know I listened to Lee Greenwood's "God Bless America, God Bless USA" maybe a little too many times. That's all right. It's all, we all celebrate in our own ways. Anyway, so let's jump into it. So today I want to focus on media bias just a little bit, and of course I'm pulling stuff again from my classroom as well. I'm going to go back to a time of the Thursday after Trump won the election. So Tuesday he wins the election, Wednesday I don't have class, so I had class Thursday. So this is pretty much midday. I had one more class after this, but this is midday, and it was my political ideology class, a class with 80-something students, and I actually stayed silent the whole class. It was really hard for me to. The only reason why I did is because people were pretty passionate that day. Most people in that class, when I say most, I mean 98% of the class, if not more, really didn't vote for Trump and just had a distaste for Trump, and really conservatives as well. They thought that the world was, they basically thought that, their world was ending, and they thought that racism and misogyny and xenophobia and homophobia and Islamophobia and we're all starting to take hold in our country, and really that our country has taken a step back, and that civil rights are going to be trampled upon, and that there's going to be mass deportation and all this stupid just basically 2012-esque predictions, except instead of the environment collapsing on itself, it's it's Galactic King Donald Trump taking away all their rights, which is just, it was dumb. So anyways, it was really angering. It was really it tested my patience, I'll put it that way. And here's why. When we were so my teacher asked, and of all the crap that was said that day, I'll give you a good example of really how indoctrinated students are. How indoctrinated my own friends are. My own friend that was sitting right next to me to the left, who grew up in San Francisco, so he probably didn't have much of a hope anyways. So I'll show you an example. So she asked the class, and I don't remember exactly how it was segued to this topic, but she asked the class, who of you do you think, or thinks, that the mainstream media is biased? Who thinks that the news has a bias? Most of the class, and when I say most of the class, I mean like 98% or more, said no. Even my friend right next to me shook his head and was like, well, no, of course not. Of course they know. This is crap. This is absolute crap. And for anyone who's a conservative in college, or conservative in general, I have to stumble upon this video, knows this is crap and is probably laughing at that. But when I sat there, when you're in class, and after hearing all the other crap you'd heard leading up to that question, you kind of get a little angry, and it's really hard for you, and it's an itch that you try not to scratch to speak out, because you have 80 students there that are not only scared but are angry and think that anyone that voted for Trump is now X, is now some sort of ism, some sort of bad, some sort of lesser human being in thought, at least. And it was mind-boggling. And now, of course, I would hope I can say that most of them would say, well, yeah, CNN has a bias. After everything that's come out, after nothing more has come out, even after today, after yesterday, I mean, all these things that are coming out to hit CNN, how people, even in the back rooms, don't like Chris Cuomo, even though they agree with what he's saying on all the crap that, that he's spewing about Trump and his administration, whether it be true or not, or just the narrative that he delivers with it, it doesn't matter. So I would really hope that some of those students would have their minds changed at this point to say, yeah, this is probably a little bit of bias. But at that moment, maybe it was just passions taking over. Maybe it was just emotions that had taken them over. And I mean, which is most college students, because most college students are of the left, and or at least not, they're not conservatives, and it's easy for younger people to have their emotions run them, of course. Anyways, most of them said that they didn't think there was a bias at all. Not only that, but their reaction to it was almost as if, why would you ask that question? Why, like, it was like, obviously there's no bias in the media, which was dumb, which is kind of shows the indoctrination of, really the indoctrination of how teachers, you can get from that little picture without any examples, and I have many examples, of course, which is how I'm basing this whole show off of, but you can get from that how students that are now seniors have gone through their whole college career and have seen and really just been told all this crap about the right or about conservatives or even now about Trump. How they have not, they're just told these things that they see in the media. They're just told, and people don't question it. And that's why I needed to start debating in class. I felt almost a duty of mine, because if other students aren't going to question it, look at, I don't want to hear crap all the time shoved down my throat. I can't do it. I just can't do it. But then, also, I can't let my fellow students just go through life, especially if I have the will and the desire to want to go and learn the truth. I can't sit there and just let them hear that crap without them hearing some sort of other opinion. And when I started speaking out more, I started getting more friends. I started, obviously there's people that just didn't like me. There's some people that agreed with me and said, hey, you know what, we don't agree with everything, but we're on your side in the sense of, this is crap. All this feminist stuff that's being shoved down our throat is crap, and all this bias that is being shoved down our throat, and all this leftism that's being shoved down our throat is crap. And it's interesting to see how a lot of people might disagree with what the teacher is saying, what a professor is saying, but they just simply don't know how to combat it. Or if they do, they don't do it the right way. They let their passions take them. They don't do enough research. They might go off a headline off of a right news website, which is fine, which I might even agree with, which is fine in the sense of it might be true, but you need to know why it's true. Okay? What angers me more than the left are dumb people on the right, or people that just kind of spout out, well, this and that, or ideologues on the right. Don't be an ideologue on the right. Know what you're talking about. I'm a conservative because I've gone and done my research. And when I'm sitting there in class, hearing most of the students around me that the news media is not biased, that angers me. And and it would have angered me more if some conservative student had started speaking up, but then he didn't know what the hell he was talking about. Because then it would have kind of played into the mindset of those students in there. And another student spoke up who looked like, I believe it was Boris from GoldenEye. I don't remember his name exactly. But basically looked like that, and as they all usually do for whatever reason, and really just gave a nice little speech that would make Lenin freaking resurrect from his grave about the evil Trump, about about the terror that's coming on now, about the whatever phobia you want to say, and made it sound all lovey hippie-ish, and of course he got a roaring applause after he's done speaking. Excuse me. And I'm just sitting there thinking, this guy's just ranting straight up socialism. Because all they had against Trump, of course, during his election was how he's just hateful. How he's absolutely just hateful. And yeah, I don't agree with certain things that Trump did. I have some reservations on his character myself, even now. But never was I sitting there thinking, this guy is hateful. I just thought, this guy doesn't have a filter, isn't a politician, and is really grown up there his whole life, hasn't been told kind of to shut up sometimes. Or to say things right sometimes. Now, obviously, he's a successful man, so I'm not saying he doesn't have any sort of self-control, any of that, but he could, in my opinion, probably express some more, especially as president now. Anyways, so this question was asked by my professor, who, at that time, this isn't even a joke, was wearing a shirt with Ruth Bader Ginsburg with a crown on her head. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the lady there who's probably, the only reason why she's still able to sit up on the court is because she's being marionetted in the background. Honestly. The lady who thinks that the popular vote, the lady who she views the Constitution as a living document. If you ever want to read any of her dissents, any of her dissertations, she views it as a pure living document. And maybe we'll go over another video, so I don't go too long on this one, about the different views of a living document, a constitutional document, and a set in stone document, basically. But she thinks pretty much, just given the culture, we can screw with the document any way we want. We like that. Basically, the words of it, the way it was written at the time of the founders is different now. Therefore, it should apply differently. Not that, I don't know, morals never change. Not that you need a certain set of in-stone rules or in-stone principles like freedom from government, like small centralized government that will allow for individuals to prosper and a free market to reign because it gives people more power. Not that. No. They think that or she thinks, and people believe in living document, basically think that it should change with the times. Not necessarily that it should even be interpreted with the times, but physically change the wording of it with the times. And that's absolutely mind-blowing, absolutely crazy. It just shows, even then, how left my teacher was there. To wear a shirt with a shirt of Ruth Bader Ginsburg with a crown on her head. Really? And now she wasn't that bad of a teacher that really shoved down her views down her throats. I'll admit. I mean, I knew where she stood, of course, especially after that. But just to show all of you how bad it is, that these students, whether it was passions, whether it was whatever it was, whether they would change their mind now, hopefully most of them would have. Hopefully all of them would have. But to say that the media wasn't biased at all, that they saw no bias in media at all, that just shows how much of blind truth they think the left is. As I said in my last episode about that Karim guy, that that leftism is saturated them to the point, that they think it's just true. They think that left is just true. That first is the basis of leftism is true. This is what's true. Trump is evil is true. Now let's build off of that. When it's absolute crap. It's totally taken over. Objective truth has been taken over by subjective opinion of the left, 100%. And I see my fellow students fall into that every day. And it was so much to the point where even a Democratic student, a student who's registered as a Democrat, as I found out after the class, because he actually spoke up a little bit and said, well, okay, come on guys, there's got to be a little bit of bias, let's be honest here. And he spoke out and said some things against Clinton and talked to him after. I was like, I kind of like some of the things you said. And he was like, oh yeah, honestly, man, I voted for Trump. I'm a registered Democrat though. But I mean, honestly, there was this whole election, I couldn't do Clinton. He just couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. He's obviously not a liberal, and he's probably being pulled more towards the left, towards the right, excuse me. But just to show just so there's a little bit of hope. That someone who's a registered Democrat, grew up in a Democratic household, just was able to see through all the crap and say, look, come on, obviously, and use some common sense. That's what we need more of, and that's what I'm hoping to show y'all more of. And show y'all to not be afraid to argue in class, not be afraid to dissent from the teacher, even if you don't know how to. Just at least go home and research it on your own. It's okay if your teachers are wrong. They're human beings, and most of the time, when they're spewing liberal crap or leftist crap, they are wrong. They are. Anyways, once again, just thought this was an interesting topic, and I thought it kind of related to what was the news cycle today with CNN and bias, and just to show the indoctrination of students and how they don't think it's there. Which just means that they've grown up in a system where they've been told it's not there, or where they've just been told conservatives are evil, and therefore they've had no desire to want to go and look up how much of that is legitimate, how much of conservative action and conservative thought is actually legitimate. And so I wanted to finish this up with a piece by David French on National Review today. Here's a little excerpt from his piece. It says, students know full well that they'll spend part of their academic careers sitting in classrooms taught by hectoring leftist ideologues. This is very true, and I tweeted about this. My Twitter, by the way, is capital TCC 1776. I tweeted about this, agreeing with them, but saying change part to most. Because I know, at least for me, I don't know how conservative a college you're going to, which there's not very many conservative colleges at all, which would mean that I know for most students, it's probably most of their academic careers are sitting in a classroom that's being taught by a leftist ideologue. Now, how much the teacher's able to or is willing to saturate their lessons with their leftist ideology, I don't know. But from my own experiences, I know that anti-Trumpism and really anti-conservatism has affects a teacher's lessons every day. Because every day I would walk into class, and it's either something against Trump or something against conservatives. And that just showed the demonization of the conservatives, and that obviously that demonization from who students think to be someone smarter than them and of intelligentsia is going to make them think, well, they know better than me, so I'm just going to believe them based off of blind truth and not objective truth. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for joining me. I'll have another video up soon. Come like my Facebook page and follow me on Twitter, and then follow my YouTube channel, hopefully. Thank you so much. Comment below. Tell me you like it, you don't like it. Whatever you'd like to see or not see, doesn't matter. Just thank you so much, and hope you have a good rest of your day. My name is Wyatt, and I'm the College Conservative.